But while corn and cooperation transforms North America, a new commodity sweeping the world, sugar, changes the destiny of another continent. Africa. Leading one woman, a warrior queen, into a desperate struggle for her kingdom and her people. Ndongo, Central Africa. Today, part of northern Angola. In a struggle for resources that shapes the world we live in today, one woman fights to keep hold of her kingdom. Queen Nzinga Umbandi. Skillful strategist, warrior queen.
Hey, Ndakuna!
Nzinga was a ferocious woman who was a ruler, but she was very complicated.
Queen Nzinga confronts a formidable enemy, the Portuguese. They want her territory and her people as slaves. Portuguese plantations in the New World need a workforce to produce a new crop changing mankind's taste: sugar. Humans are drawn to sweetness more than any other flavor. Today, we eat up to half our body weight in sugar every year. In the Americas and Caribbean, the Spanish and Portuguese lay out vast new plantations of sugarcane.
People have always wanted luxurious food that tastes good. And the hunt for luxuries has driven the exploration of the world and the spread of trade networks.
Agriculture on a new industrial scale, driving the demand for labor and a new commodity: human beings. Like many African rulers, Queen Nzinga has been selling captives and prisoners of war to the Portuguese.
The African slave trade was a conspiracy, unfortunately, between avaricious Europeans and African elites. Nzinga was a slave trader herself, like many of the monarchs in Africa at that time. But she sold slaves, other Africans, captives in war, to defend herself against the encroachment of the Portuguese.
But as the sugar trade expands, so does the demand for more African slaves. Her former trading partners have turned against her. They now want her people as slaves. In a mountain stronghold, she prepares to defend her kingdom and her people. Against her, not just the Portuguese, but their new African allies.
She was up against warlords who were taking advantage of a market for people. They were human traffickers, and they were armed.
Hey!
With Queen Nzinga, her sisters, Princesses Mukambu and Kafunji.
Hey!
Yes.
Hey! Zakuk! Zakuk! Kinjila!
The Ndongo are outnumbered, surrounded. Princesses Mukambu and Kafunji enslaved. over 3 centuries, European slave traders will transport 15 million Africans to the New World. The majority from Central Africa.
It's one of the most horrendous and painful moments in modern human history, both for Europeans and for Black Africans.
But Queen Nzinga herself escapes. For the next 20 years, until her death, she will fight on and negotiate and bargain to keep Ndongo free from Portuguese rule.
I'm fascinated that there was a woman who was as powerful in the history of Africa as Queen Nzinga.
Hey, hey, Ndakuna.
Enormously complicated and enormously brilliant diplomatic figure in African history.
250 years later, slavery will be abolished.
And forever free.
But mankind's taste for sugar transforms the face and civilization of 2 continents. Today, almost 1/5 of the population of the Americas can trace their roots back to Africa.